The hot air blew up north from the Gulf, and the cold wind swept in south from Canada. And when the two fronts collided over the states, the battle spilled over in a monstrous, rolling storm cloud not a few miles north of my lot in the woods. For the better part of an hour, as things there unfolded, the buzz of the weather alert was all I could hear on the TV and on the radio.
They're saying this could be a big one, folks. Stay inside and be prepared to run to the cellar if this supercell does indeed produce a funnel cloud. We'll keep you updated as more information becomes available.
And all at once I could see the black underside of the beast as it moved. And then the trees started to list and sway. And then the wind rolled up through the grass until it blew dust onto my trousers and into my hair. I whistled. "Come on, Shiloh! Inside, boy, let's go!" The dog bounded up the stairs, and I shut the door behind the two of us. Then it began to rain. Nothing but a drizzle at first, but then a pounding, howling downpour that fell in sheets and torrents. It turned the dirt to mud, and it poured from the gutters, and it swept up against the windows like ocean surf. Shiloh, never one for thunderstorms if he could help it, laid down on the rug and covered his snout with a paw, and began to whine. "Hang in there, boy, it'll be over soon." I sat down in the recliner. I turned on the TV, and I pet him absent-mindedly with my free hand.
Think it'll produce a twister? It's hard to say right now, Debbie. The conditions we think are there, especially here near Fairfield, and over here in the Manchester area. You see, on the radar, how that's playing out. So that's certainly a cause for concern that we're keeping a close watch on. Thanks, Kev. And I'm getting word now that there is indeed a tornado watch in Fort Hutchins and in Charles County. And of course, you can get a more comprehensive list of affected areas on our website and at the bottom of the screen. To anyone in the path of this storm, especially in those areas, it is imperative that you are either prepared to move to a storm shelter on short notice or find a low place to hide without windows if at all possible. Place mattresses up against any exposed windows if you can, and do not attempt to drive away from the storm until the watch is expired.
I looked out the window. It was hard to see much of anything through the wind and the rain, but it was dark out there, for sure. I stood up, I walked over to the window to get a better view, but it was so worked over in fog and rainwater that I couldn't hardly see a thing. "Stay put, Shiloh. I'm going to take a quick peek out the door." I cracked it open a bit. The sound of the storm utterly exploded into the house. I could barely hear the dog bark over the sound of the wind and the rain and the claps of thunder. And then a spear of lightning bolted across the sky. "Oh, it's a big one, boy," I shouted. "Might have to rev up the generator in a bit." I eased the door open a bit more and leaned out. Within seconds, I was nearly as soaked as the porch, and I had to squint and shield my eyes and wipe my hair off my forehead when the rain plastered it there with weight. In the distance, and through the trees, I could still see the sunset. But the red and orange and yellow there, it hit a hard, fast wall of blackened storm clouds a few miles off. And that cloud only got darker and more violent the closer it got to where we stood. The grass in my fields was nearly flattened with wind, too, and the trees were heaving sideways and billowing their tops to the windfall as the storm threw it back to their beating. I craned my neck upward. The skies were moving fast above the house. I could tell that even through the rain, it swirled and bulged. They chased their tails, and wisps of them scouted the ground and dipped deep and low. I found Shiloh brush up against my leg. "Back inside, boy." I gently nudged him in the heel of my boot. "Things are getting worse out here." I shut the door and muffled the sound of doing so, and Shiloh went back to his spot on the rug and picked up his whining where he left it off. I knelt down. I scratched him behind the ear. "Almost over, boy. Storms this bad can't last too long."